Demetrius and Ophelia are walking along the dock, headed towards the SunBeam. After spending some time in storm break, they're ready to continue their journey to Fulcrum. As they approach the SunBeam, Demetrius sees a table and cart near the gangway. "That tavern we went to last night was quite fun. It was nice to see the rowdy, what is that? Is that Lady Mayve sitting in front of the SunBeam?" Ophelia pulls herself out of her thoughts of last night's tavern. She looks along the dock to indeed spy Lady Mayve setting out by the ship. "Good morning, Lady Mayve," she calls out as they make their way over to her. Mayve does indeed sit near the gangway of the SunBeam at a small folding table topped in lacy tablecloths. The table is set with a delicate porcelain tea service and a tired serving tray filled with cold cuts, cheeses, fruits, and small cakes. She sets down her steaming cup and waves.
"Hello, friends!"
Beside the table, a quartermaster with a large ledger stands. She waves him off.
"Please join me."
Demetrius looks at Ophelia, shrugs, then walks towards the table, pulling out a chair for Ophelia to sit in, should she please. Demetrius gazes over the wide assortment of delicacies. "I do apologize for being startled. I wasn't expecting all of this for a send-off. Is there a cause or celebration that I missed?" Ophelia takes the offered seat, looking at the finery that was placed before them. Ophelia wondered if perhaps she too one day could afford a porcelain set like this. "Thank you for making time to meet with us, Lady Mayve," she said with a smile. "I'm sure you were quite busy." She returns the smile and begins to serve, as any good hostess would, pouring 2 fresh cups of a fragrant orange-colored tea for her guests and filling their saucers with snacks and treats.
"No celebration, Demetrius. Ophelia wished to chat, and seeing as we both had business at the docks, I proposed we take afternoon tea here instead of the estate. I apologize for the smell, but one gets used to the scent of fish, sweat, and salt. Honey?"
"Please," to Maeve's offer of honey. "The smell is of no concern for myself." She turns towards Demetrius. "I'm sorry. I meant to tell you of our meeting last night, but time had slipped away from me at the tavern." Demetrius takes a seat as well, whilst brushing away the honey and taking a sip from the piping hot tea, slightly burning his tongue. He remarks, "No worries at all. I'm glad to see Mayve before heading back. Everything's making sense. I suppose I'm still a bit shell-shocked from the last lunar cycle. I do hope this is a pleasant discussion."
"I do hope so. Something positive after the rather unpleasant visit to Drekhaugr."
She adds a dollop of honey to Ophelia's tea and her own. Ophelia gave a small, half-hearted smile. The conversation would be a good chance to catch him up on some of the events that happened inside the mist, but the topic at hand is best approached with caution. Not wishing to upset Lady Mayve by bringing up past memories, yet still needing to know the side of the story to solve a piece of the riddle that haunted the back of her mind. She gently sips a bit of tea. "While we're on the subject, do you mind if I ask about Drekhaugr? Is it truly as bad as the whispers say?" A grimace, and Mayve set down her cup, a little too forcefully.
"It was an ugly affair. A cursed island that, while we were able to cure, has lost so many of its inhabitants. At least they have 2 new kings, though how well those people will be taken care of."
She huffs, rolling back her shoulders before forcing a smile, which falls into a look of displeasure.
"I'm not sure if we've truly left the island better than we found it."
Ophelia halts the cup she was bringing to her lips and stares for a second. She lets out a deep sigh, quite embarrassed. "Forgive me, Lady Mayve. It appears that I've misunderstood. I thought for a moment you were speaking of Drekhaugr, and was wondering if you had any information about that area. I'm embarrassed as a traveler that I had mistaken the two." She looks down into the teacup as though peering through it into another time and place. "I too believe that there was other methods we could have used to avoid further unnecessary bloodshed. Life has many different paths through it, and not often do you see what it has in store for you until you tread upon it."
"Wise words, my lady."
A pause while she gathers her thoughts.
"I am sorry I cannot speak on the turmoil on the main continent, and
Color rises on her cheeks.
Actually embarrassed that I must confess that travelling to Drekhaugr was the first time I was off of storm break.
She leans in.
But even those of us who were gone for so long know the tales of dragons returning to the known world.
Ah, yes, the dragons. By chance, do you recall if anyone was investing more on them? I have a fellow guildmate who's very interested in learning as much as he can on them. I was too far away to hear what was said at the table that night. Did the dwarven man say how many dragons there are?
I do not believe so. He was hysterical to the point of madness. And the next morning he only told of the war against the dragons, nothing terribly specific.
She takes a bite from one of the cakes and looks thoughtful.
And of course the mention that only Excalibur can defeat the dragons. Perhaps the lodge has something to say against that.
She giggles as she finishes the cake.